All right. First of all, I want to address that, I'm not going to make 5,000 videos to how to teach you how to play music. So that's not what we're doing. We're going to talk about music theory. And it's going to be up to you to set yourself up some type of study and some type of program and set time aside to go through this until you can remember it. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I'm going to address these issues and then move on to other issues. And it's going to be up to you to spend the time in some type of setting yourself up to some type of study time to review and review and review until you remember and understand them. The second thing I want to address is that we're looking at this as just music theory so that you can apply it and have some understanding of those concepts while you're working, recording, and mixing and mastering music. We're not, we're just addressing theory. The next thing I want to say is that we're going to use the keyboard, and we're going to use MuseScore. MuseScore is free. It's a very basic program, and the keyboard is a very basic structure that's got a very high upper register and a very low lower register. It covers a full spectrum. So it's a very good instrument to understand your basic theory and the components of it. So let's get started. The first thing is we're going to talk about the basic components, notes on the keyboard. So we're talking about the notes on the keyboard. The first thing is any one of these black notes you see on here are going to be sharp or flat of the notes that are notated below it. If you've got G here and A here, this is going to be G sharp or A flat. This up here is going to be D flat or C sharp. This is going to be E flat or D sharp. And that goes for all of them across the entire register. It's a very simple concept to understand, and now you understand it. The next thing is it goes in octaves, up and down. We'll start on C, and it'll go up to C, then it'll go up to C again. It'll do the same thing going down. Here's C, it'll go down to C, 1 octave. There are 12 notes between each octave, 12 tones. So you have 12 notes to work with in your theory and the structures that you're going to be working with and talking about. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C. C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E flat, D, D flat, C. Now, when you're dealing with notation, sometimes these will be marked either flat or sharp. There's a reason for that, and we will get into that. Just remember that if you see a note and it's very simple to understand that this note may be marked sharp or flat, depending on, what scale or key you might be playing in. But if you understand what these notes are on the staff, that it shouldn't take much for you to understand that it's sharp or flat and how that relates to your keyboards so that you can understand it easily in your theory. The next thing we wanted to look at is basically that, those are very simple structures. So, you have the other component of this is, in the notation. The most basic structure is the staff. It's got 5 lines and 4 spaces for notating your music. And that's a very simple concept to understand. You have a treble staff and a bass staff clef, treble clef and bass clef, and they're separate staves for working with upper register music and working for notes that are lower registry, higher and lower frequency notes. That's a very simple concept to understand, and now you understand that. Middle C is the middle note on your keyboard, so it should be marked, or you should be able to find it fairly easily, that it's supposed to be the mid-range, the mid note on your keyboard, and that's the middle C is the middle note between those 2 staffs. So that's a very easy concept and very easy to understand. The next thing we're going to talk about, the other part of it, is you have the notation of it. You've got a flat sign, so if it's A sharp or C sharp or whatever, or G flat or A flat or whatever, that's the notation for it. Sharp, whenever something is sharp, and you already understand that from the keyboard, that's the sign that it's notated with. And the natural sign, this sign right here, very basic notation, is so that you understand that note is just as it should be without any notation at all. So does that make sense? Because sometimes if you have this note again before it that's got a sharp sign on it, that if it's got a sharp sign on it here, and then it plays the same note again, but they want it to be not sharp, that they'll put a natural sign on it, because you may assume, or probably should assume, that that next note that is the same note is going to be sharp also. So they put this natural sign on it to show you that this note is not that same sharp note, that it's actually just the natural note. And those are very basic concepts to understand. None of that, those are the basic components and concepts that you need to understand to start working with structures. Now you can put this on MuseScore, and after you've downloaded it, you can, enable the keyboard that's on it very simply by going to View and, enabling the keyboard, and, start pushing the notes on it, and make a bunch of them, or going up and down the whole range of the keyboard. And you can take a picture of it and print it on your printer to have a copy of it, so that you can really look through it and really study, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, E sharp, F, F sharp, and up the register and down the register. And, it works the same way as on the keyboard. It's just notated. And so that you can start to look at those two together, so that you can see how they go on the keyboard and how it's written on the staff, and how those two work together, so that you have when you're looking at the staff or you're looking at the keyboard, that the same concepts of this basic structure to build structures from, you can understand. So that's basically the first part, and understanding the most simple structures of the keyboard and the most simple structures of the notation. And I hope you enjoyed the first video, and I'll see you in the next video.